Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 13th of May 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session. We're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one on the chart here is Nikkei225. Now looking at this index, so the index traveled to the downside this morning, and I've talked about this one last week, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this level right here, the 21,316.15 zone approximately there. You can see that the index broke it to the downside, had a brief return above it, but still continued traveling lower, and now kind of found good support around the 21,190, of course just slightly below that. So the index is closed already. So in a way, this of course still kind of paints this bearish picture here. We could still target this low, this important area of support near the 21,000 level. So yep, that's why guys, for now keep your eyes on this one. So this is the area that we're going to be targeting, the area between the roughly 20,970 and 50 and the 21,000 as well. So that's why guys, for now of course we are going to remain somewhat bearish, but we're not going to exclude a potential, maybe a retracement here, a small correction back to the upside before another leg of selling. Now overall, of course, you can see that it is now trading below this medium-term upside support line, and also trading below the 200 EMA. Last week on the 10th of May, it did have a chance to push above this 200 EMA, but kind of failed, and then yep, we saw this one selling off, and now it seems that yep, it could be heading its way towards the psychological 21,000 level. So that's why guys, for now be very careful. We're not going to drag it below that unless it's this little target here. There we go. This is the little low of the 25th of March, and that's approximately around the 20,910 level. So also could keep an eye on that one, just in case we do see an overshoot below the 21,000 level. If this suddenly reverses back up and travels back above the 200 EMA, now this could be a first good sign for the bulls. We could see the index traveling a little bit higher again towards maybe the 21,700 or 21,875 level here, but in a way, for those who are on a very cautious side, you could in a way wait until we see a push back above this upside support line, and then target higher levels in the near term, in the medium term. So that's why guys, for now, for the very short term perspective, if we see a reversal back above this 200 EMA around the 21,570 level, then that's great, good news for the bulls. We could see a bit more upside, but then we'll be very careful with that. And in terms of the downside, still kind of, it is pointing to the downside. It's still kind of aiming for that psychological 21,000 level. So that's why keep your eyes on that one for now. That's probably the more likely scenario for now. So keep your eyes on this one. Very quickly on silver, I talked about silver last week as well. I've mentioned this downside resistance line that kind of continues to play out nicely here. It's a bit of a tentative one because we're missing a few touches around here, around the high of 9th of April here and the high of the 28th of April, but it had a nice touch here on the 28th of May. So basically we're drawing this one, so it did have two touches around the 25th of March and the 21st of March. So that's why keep your eyes on this one for now. All this is kind of not really looking good for silver. We may see a continuation move to the downside. From the very short term perspective, we are targeting this 14.58 zone, approximately there. If we do see a break below that, then we'll take it from there, see if it actually wants to push further down or not. If it does break and close below the 14.58 zone, then yep, we'll aim for the 14.52, or even actually going further down towards this little area here of potential support near the 1432 zone here, marked by the low of the 6th of December. And if that really doesn't kind of help the bulls here, then yep, further declines could be possible. So of course then the same 14 level, or maybe just a few ticks above that, could be a nice target here. But for now, from the very short-term perspective, the 14.58 level, that's what we're aiming for. In terms of the upside, if this suddenly reverses back up here, still will remain somewhat kind of cautiously bearish, let's put it that way. As long as it remains above this downside resistance line, we are going to kind of continue targeting lower levels. For us to get excited about the upside, we would like to see a nice good push above the 14.97 level initially. Of course, there we do have the psychological 15 level in there as well, but also keep your eyes on this 14.97. That's going to be the first kind of sign of a potential possible move higher, but for better confirmation, in a way, we could wait for a nice break and a close above this 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So that's why keep your eyes on this one. That's in terms of the upside. For now, it is more more bearish than bullish. Very quickly on Bitcoin, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but just to kind of show that we did have a fantastic rally here during the weekend. It pushed higher, so it broke some of our key resistance levels that I talked about last week. And basically I was talking about the 6,500 level, so which kind of got pierced through very easily, and the crypto managed to travel all the way here to find good support near the 7,450 level, approximately there. So let me just put a line here. So basically it managed to find good resistance here, so from which it reversed back down, and but found support around here, around this 6,850 zone. So we're going to keep an eye on this very carefully on this level here, because looking at this right now, certainly, of course, it is looking quite positive, but the only thing is, let's not exclude the possibility of this one reversing back down, as we've seen this happening several times already. So in a way, if we see a drop below the 6,850 level, this could potentially open the path back towards the 6,500 level, or even actually going a little bit lower towards the 6,250 zone, so approximately there. Of course, we still have this upside support line taken from the lows of the 26th of March, around there, which also could get a test, but to be honest, for now, looking at this picture, if we see a drop below the 6,850 level, we're gonna target some of these lower levels that I've just mentioned, and then we'll take it from there, see if it actually wants to travel all the way here to test this upside support line or not. If it doesn't even actually break below the 6,850 level, what we're gonna do here is, of course, we're gonna aim for the recent highs near the 7,450 level. A break of it would confirm a forthcoming forthcoming higher high, and we could then target the 7,770. And just to show you what that level was here in the past, oh, there we go, too much. This was that little spike here that we saw around the 14th of October last year. So basically, if we do see a nice good push above the 7,450, which is this weekend's high, then yep, target the 7,770, and we could maybe see this one traveling further up here. But of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what it actually does with this area first. Ethereum very quickly also is having a great time. So basically, this is the arrow from the last time we looked at it. This weekend it did have a fantastic run, managed to reach the area around here near the 207 level. So this is going to be our target now for the upside. Basically, if we see a nice good push above this, this could confirm would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could see this one pushing further up. The only problem is that yep, as Bitcoin as well and as Ethereum here, it did sell off on Sunday, and now it's kind of trying to recover. The only problem is currently sitting below the pivot, so which is kind of a bit of a bearish signal. But to be honest, for us, let's say in order to consider lower areas, a move lower, we need to see a drop below the 100 and this level right here at 185 zone. Ideally, as you can see, this is where the crypto managed to find support. So this way, a break below the 185 could potentially lead this one towards the 177 zone, or even further down towards the 168. But again, for now, the downside, it is tricky a little bit with the downside. We need to wait for that confirmation break first here below the 185 before we could examine the downside again. So keep your eyes on these levels, guys. Very quickly, DXY. Last week I talked about this one as well, and I was telling you guys to keep close eye on this upside support line. A bit of a tentative one, but kind of nevertheless. So in a way, do not focus too much on it. Basically, it's just for kind of just illustrative purposes here. I mean, it did travel lower, did break it, it did kind of respect it somewhat here. But to be honest, the question here is, did it actually respect this upside support line, or did it respect the 200 EMA here? So as you can see, the index fell below the 200 EMA, traveled lower, broke below our area here of support, 97.26 zone approximately there, but managed to travel all the way here towards the 97.12. Now I talked about this level as well. But the index now is back above this 97.26, but remains below the 200 EMA. So basically, very confusing for us now. What we're going to do here is we're going to wait for another push lower, because all this kind of is creating a bit of a bearish kind of scenario here. For now, of course, if this travels back below the 97.26, this could mean that the index might travel further down towards the 97.12 zone to kind of give it another go, give it another test. But if that fails to withhold, now this is where it could turn out to be quite ugly for DXY, as this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then target the area around the 97 zone or even further down. But for now, guys, it is currently stuck here near the 200 EMA, just slightly below that. In order to consider higher levels for this one, we need to see this one traveling back above this 200 EMA, as well as back above this upside support line. But ideally, for a better confirmation, a break of the 97.45 level, this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the bulls here, as this could travel above this little high of the 10th of May, and then we could target the 97.70 or even this downside resistance line. So keep your eyes on this one. USDCAD. Now, this is what I was talking about last Friday, basically, and last Friday we saw this nice, fantastic sell-off here, bringing the pair below the 200 EMA, below this key support zone at near the 1.34 area, and almost managed to reach this 1.3370 level, but kind of quickly reversed, and you can see the bulls kind of pushed it higher. Of course, this pair is a bit of a mess, let's put it that way. So in a way, we can get rid of this a little bit here. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to wait for a nice good move here above the 1.3450 approximately there. This way we could then see the pair traveling above its 21 EMA and the 50 EMA here, shown as the yellow and the red lines respectively. But the next target here could be around this little peak here near the near the high of the 10th of May, which was around the 1.3480. Slightly above that, we do have the 1.3496, and of course the same 1.35 level. But again, first what we're going to do here is we're going to keep a close eye on this level right here for now. This is from the very short term perspective, the 1.3450 level. We need to see a nice good push above that in order to kind of see a further possible move here towards the 1.35 zone approximately there. But if this decides to reverse back down, we're going to remain somewhat neutral, because for us now, in order to consider lower levels, what we need to do here is we need to see a drop below this key area of support near the 1.3370. So a drop below this level could potentially lead the pair towards further declines here towards the 1.33 zone, maybe eventually for a test here, which also could test the medium term, or should I say the long-term upside support line taken from the low of January here of 2018. So that's why keep your eyes on this one, but again, we'll only consider the downside if we see a drop below the 1.3370. And very quickly on the euro dollar here, so it continues to slowly grind higher. It's kind of it is still trading below this downside resistance line, this kind of downside resistance line, a medium-term downside resistance line taken from the high of January this year. For us, in order to consider higher levels, ideally we would like to see a nice good push here above this, a break of this, of course, of this downside resistance line, and then a nice push above the 1.1260 initially. This is where we will then consider a possible move towards the 1.1280, and if that fails to withhold, the 1.1325 level could be a nice target for this pair. But again, we need to see that nice good strong push above this downside resistance line. For now, this is where it's stuck. It's kind of, it seems that the pair is coiling up because it's also above this upside, this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 26th of April. In a way, if we see a drop below the 1.1228 zone again, then we may see maybe a revisit of this upside support line, maybe a small overshoot, and then we'll just take it from there, see how it's going to perform. But for better confirmation of the downside, still for us remains the same level here, the 1.1175, in order to kind of consider kind of deeper extensions to the downside. So that's why we're going to be very careful on this one. We're going to remain somewhat neutral for now, because like I said, for the upside we need to see a nice good pop above this downside resistance line. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. But if you want to join me later on at my Trader's Tea Time, and that's as always 13:15 GMT time. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.